I wouldn't be able to talk to you like this, Amina, especially if we met elsewhere outside in person. I wouldn't be able to even say hi to you unless you said hi. I wouldn't be able to look at you while we are talking in front of each other. And I would be thinking, my mind would be running like, what would Amina be thinking about me? What is the impression I would have created? Was my language all right? Would she have understood the way I meant it? All of those things, the brain would overdrive. That is who I was.
Welcome, Arvind.
Thank you, Amina. Thanks for having me here.
Well, thank you for being here and making the time. I know you are traveling and busy and not in Mumbai right now. So, thank you for making the time and joining us. So, I must give a quick introduction before we progress. This is Arvind Khinvesra. He is a facilitator, a trainer, a fantastic coach who, by the way, has walked me through my fears of swimming as well. And other things over the last few years. But I think the greatest pride and joy I take is in calling him a friend, and greater pride and joy that he calls me that too. So, thank you so much for letting me switch on the camera on a conversation we would otherwise have anyway. So, thank you. You are standing at the cusp of something very interesting that is happening in your life, which we will come to in a bit, which is a course that you have launched and products around the course that you have launched. But before we come to that, I want you to just quickly go back and tell me, now that you stand at this cusp, do you look back and see, oh my God, the journey that I have come through to be here? Like, what does that journey look like for you?
Ah, I have a difficult question because I normally don't look back.
Am I forcing you to look in a direction you don't want to look in?
No, it's not about I don't want to. That's uh, my philosophy of life, right? Once you have crossed a bridge, don't look back. There are no regrets, nothing of that sort. And yet, now that you ask me, let me look back and think about it, share something with you.
At least the high points, you know?
Sure. So, even in that regards, I wouldn't call there are any high points or low points, but yeah, it has been an interesting journey in that sense because starting as an engineer, working in a manufacturing company to getting into IT as a SAP consultant, and then jumping into this field of coaching and all. It's been a lovely journey. And the reason I say that is because I've been able to live the life the way I wanted in terms of I could choose careers, I could change careers whenever I felt like. So one thing that if I have to really appreciate or look back with pride is it has got nothing to do with me. It's about my family, uh,
Mm.
the support that I've got from them in terms of making my choices. And even today, I live my passion because somebody else takes care of the house.
Yeah. I have had the good fortune of meeting Anita and knowing genuinely what a strong support system she is for what you do. I have one such support system at home, and we have constantly shared how lucky we are to have these kind of people. Uh, what does she think about the journey? Have you asked her?
Well, she is happy that I'm happy. It's just that she's not happy with the traveling that I do. Uh,
Oh, we could spend a few days talking about the travel. I am just back from the same office that you were in, and now you find yourself sitting in the same room and having the conversation with me. So it is a little bit surreal, but we are constantly doing this. You travel from Mumbai mostly to Pune, but other cities as well. I traveled from Goa to Pune and other cities. As a traveling facilitator that we all are, what is the biggest challenge you face?
uh, the challenge is not when I'm traveling. I enjoy traveling. I love going to places and stuff. The challenge is when I'm back home because I've realized the way that challenge is translated is I've realized I've become more stuck in my house. I've cut
Oh,
off from my people around me outside of the house because I tend to, or I rather want to stay in the house. It's not that, and there are times when Anita is not at home. She's at work, and yet I would like to be around the place. So that's the challenge that I find these days, where I've lost connect with a lot of people around me in Mumbai. But otherwise, I think it's fine. Uh,
Yeah.
I like to say that there are challenges around my food and stuff, but then I also enjoy the variety, so that's okay.
I think you make small of the challenges that you deal with every day, and that kind of speaks to the person that you are. I know you have dietary restrictions that you work around, and it's not easy. Like when you're traveling to figure that out, and I know that you've missed important events at home and everything because you're on the road as much as you are. So I think you're making small of the challenges that you face regularly.
Uh, Maybe that's again the way I look at life, right?
Yeah.
Challenge or no challenge, you find a way around it. And so for me, as long as I am able to find a way around it, there's no challenge. So that's fine.
Yeah, true. Very true. I was having this conversation in the very office that you're sitting in a few days ago, and I was talking about the fact that my husband was talking about the fact that I'm away from home for a lot of time, and sometimes more away than I'm at home in certain months. And he said, you miss family functions, you miss like celebrations, you're just zooming in, zooming out. Uh, we miss you at home. I miss you at home. But for all that you miss, you better be enjoying what you do. Because if you are not enjoying and you're missing home and I'm missing time with you and all of that, then this is not worth it. So he's like, you better be enjoying and making a difference to the world with the work that you do. So I was like, okay, that kind of gave me new perspective on what I'm doing and when I'm away from home to make the most of it. So now we're standing at the cusp of a new product. I would love for you to tell us where it started and what is the shape and form that it has taken now.
Okay. So before that, I need to give you a context as to what is this product about. Before I get into the product itself, I do a lot of public speaking workshops, and the reason I do them is one such program changed my life. Uh, Being an introvert guy, not comfortable talking to people, even on a one-on-one level, to now standing in front of crowds and teaching them how to speak. That complete turnaround has been because of that program. And I believe it's one area which can help someone develop self confidence, build their self esteem. And that's something I've been doing for the past 10 years. My last trip to the US last May, a friend of mine gifted me a box of cards around mindfulness. And that's when it struck me, how can I create a product with on similar lines for public speaking that people can use to learn different ways of speaking and at the same time practice? Because speaking is something, the more you practice, the better it gets. It's not a theoretical course where I can give you some concepts. So that's where it started. And like you are aware, and we said together, as you mentioned, in Goa, and tried to conceptualize the whole thing. Now, finally, the product is out, except for the box. I have a dummy here as a box.
Oh, your box sample also has arrived.
Yeah. It's just that the box is too big in size, so I have to get it resized.
Mm,
This is what it more or less looks like.
I love it.
Uh, these are the cards.
I've seen it through various iterations. I think this
Yeah.
is perfect.
And so instead of getting into each of the cards, I'll just explain you the concept. There are four sections here
Mhm.
which talk around how to start a speech, how to craft your speech. There are different types of speeches that we have, and how do you craft them? How do you deliver them? So different areas of delivery that you can work on. And then finally, how do you close to make an impact? Each of the sections has 10 cards. And just think about it. If you pick one card from each section, it gives you an idea how to prepare a speech. And look at the combinations, you've got about 10,000 combinations to work on.
Mm.
And the way
And this is for people to practice by themselves, or is this for a coach or a facilitator?
it is for people who would like to practice by themselves. It is for people who are good at speaking. But let's say, I mean, tomorrow you want to give a talk, right? And you're
Mhm.
wondering, how should I go about closing my speech? Right? What are the
Mm.
different ways? and you just pick up something like, okay, what I have in my hand is 10 cards around sealing the moment which is closing the speech.
Mm.
One of it is say, paint a vision of the future. And it might just trigger a thought for you and say, you know what, let me
Sure.
put it this way. So the way the cards are designed is one way of doing that thing, why it works or how it works. And then at the back, there's an example for people to look at. So far, the people who have seen it, and of course, you know what it is because you have contributed to it. I think I've got wonderful feedback in terms of different ways of using it. I had envisaged only one way of using it, that is
Mm-hmm.
four cards and create a structure for yourself. But when people saw it, they started talking about different ways of doing it. One of my friend in the US wants the same guy who gave me the box. He has told me, Arvind, can you share the soft copy with me? Because there might be times when I want to just spark a thought for someone and I want to just send one picture of one card and let them think through it. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Because I'm a facilitator, I can imagine a lot of ways of using it during a session where you can do work around it and everybody can use it to craft something on the go, and identify and build a toolkit of your own, because we tend to have these shortcuts of how we want to use things, and we tend to use the same pattern that we speak, and sometimes breaking out of it requires that you create a new toolkit with new ways of speaking. So I think that's how I imagined it when I saw it.
Interesting.
So
Thanks.
there you go, you can add that one.
Marketing point for me. And in fact, one more set of target audience for me.
That is true. Tell us a little bit about public speaking courses, and I know you've launched a new course as well. Tell us a little bit about the public speaking courses.
I would like to believe the public speaking courses that I do is very unlike the normal courses that you see. And the reason I say that is because that's the feedback I've got from my participants. Uh, I'm not too much into concepts, not I don't like to get too much into theory because that's something which is available elsewhere also. What I do in these programs is make people do stuff, talk, stand up, talk, and then look at those smaller nuances in terms of what is the change that they want to bring. Let them experience it so that it becomes a part of them. Just to give you an example, the way you stand, if one of your feet is just tilted by, say, 5 degrees, your complete eye contact can go haywire because your center line of vision, the central line of vision is completely different. And you might tend to look towards one side more than the other side. Um, just 2 days back, I was having this session where I saw a lady who believed she was using her hands beautifully and the gestures were going very well. We had to tell her that one of her hand was stuck, and she wouldn't believe it unless till the time we showed her the recording. And then I asked her to remove her watch and try it again, and yet it was the same thing. So it wasn't the watch. And then I just happened to ask her, how do you normally wear a sari? And do you
Oh.
do, the pallu with that hand? And she said, yeah, that's what I do. And that's when the realization stuck in. So these are those minor nuances or observations which actually help you bring in the change. And that's
Mhm.
what I like to focus on as to why somebody is not able to do certain things, which they know consciously. And as I mentioned it, I now get a kick out of it, right? It's more, even this is like coaching, right?
Yeah.
While concepts remain the same, for each individual, the reason they're not able to do it is very different. And if you're able to pick that up and help them with that, that's great. So that's how the program works. The classroom is 10 sessions and people speak, they get their feedback based on which they make improvements. The new one that you're talking about is the online program, where I've tried to build that in. Of course, I cannot replicate what happens in the classroom, but I've tried to build the same experience through examples. But the intention is that people watch the videos, record their videos, put it up there to get that feedback. So at least there is some inputs that they can get on a real time basis rather than just learning something conceptual.
Sure. Sure. I come from a theater background. So for me, public speaking and presence was built through theater. I was very fortunate. It happened very early on when I was much younger. So a lot of the fears weren't hardwired and set in, and I could work around. And I was very vulnerable in that space, and everybody else was as well. We were all amateur theater artists, so I kind of shed all of that and built my presence bit by bit based on the people I was interacting with, and I interacted with wonderful people. So it kind of shaped my presence, and I know that in a lot of situations my presence carries me through, right? I'm able to not get overwhelmed. I'm able to present, and we speak in large public gatherings as facilitators and trainers, anywhere between 10 to 200 people gatherings. And it hasn't, the fear never took over. So I don't, sometimes I have realized I have difficulty empathizing with that fear as well, which is uh, very unfortunate. But it's difficult to imagine how debilitating that fear is. And I'm sure you've seen that debilitating fear.
I've experienced that. The
Mm.
reason I love this program is, like I said, this is one program that changed my life, right? There's a long story, but for that, you can watch the video, uh, the program. But if I have to describe myself till my final year of engineering in one sentence, it would be an individual with uh, very low on self confidence and very high on inferiority complex. Uh,
Hard to imagine, but I'll take your word for it.
yeah, and that's the point, right? When you say hard to imagine, that's the change that this program has brought in for me. So I wouldn't be able to talk to you like this, Amina, especially if we met elsewhere outside in person. I wouldn't be able to even say hi to you unless you said hi. I wouldn't be able to look at you while we are talking in front of each other. And I would be thinking, my mind would be running like, what would Amina be thinking about me? What is the impression I would have created? Was my language all right? Would she have understood the way I meant it? All of those things, the brain would go overdrive. That is who I was.
I want to call lies on all of this, but considering I know you don't lie, I really want to call lies on all of this.
And interestingly, that's still a case even today when I'm with strangers, because that's who I am as an individual.
Mhm.
However, thankfully, I'm now able to at least reach out, make a point,
Mhm.
get started with the conversation. And once we feel comfortable, we are all comfortable talking. But to break that barrier, I think this is where this program comes in handy. How do you go start a conversation and have that confidence? So it's not just a program to learn how to speak or how to make an impact in front of the people. It's more about how do you feel comfortable with yours, being yourself.
Yeah, that's where I was coming. I think shedding that fear must change a person fundamentally, right? It's not just about being able to do one more thing. It's not just a skill, like you said. Can you share some stories that have touched you? Because I know for a fact that you have these experiences where you're not just giving them the ability, like you said, the know-how of doing it, but changing how they respond to life.
Quite a few, in fact. This was not part of the program itself, but the requirement was similar. Imagine a CEO of a company who has just joined a new organization, and he comes to me and he says, "I feel choked when I speak in front of my board of directors, and when I'm speaking to my teams, I'm perfectly all right." And he had already managed quite a few turnarounds in different organizations, so it's not that he didn't know his work; it's
Mm.
he couldn't communicate. But there was this one particular scenario where if he had to talk in front of his board of directors, he would just choke. And if he didn't like something that was said, his face would turn red. Now, how do you deal with it? Now, that's it's not about teaching how to speak, but it's about figuring out what's causing that, right? As he tries to speak, what's the mindset that he is in? And very interestingly, it went down to sometime back in his childhood, and where it was more like trying to prove a point or trying to say that, when I say something, I'm right, kind of a situation. So when we worked through that, I think within 2 weeks, he had a meeting, and when he came back for the next coaching session, he was like, "Today I spoke, and I spoke well." So that's that's something that makes a big difference. That's the satisfaction that you get, right? I've seen a couple of guys working in a good organization, came for public speaking, and it has not happened once. Quite a few times have happened. I have these 10 sessions, right? And the last session is what I call as the graduation program. And the graduation program is where I tell them, besides the participants, each one of you has to invite at least 2 people. So if I have 10 people as participants, the last day they have 30 people in the audience. Just
Mhm.
this. And also, if they call their families, I think it's a very proud moment. I could see my dad's chest filling up, and when he saw me speaking on the stage when I did my program, and I know the value of that moment. I cherish that certificate. Maybe no organization certifies it. It gives me a lot of value, because when I feel down and I look at that certificate, I know I'm confident. So that's the same thing that I want to create here. And more often than not, for quite a few batches, I've seen the people who I am afraid of, in terms of, I don't know how this guy is going to perform. Because the last session, while I call it their graduation ceremony, it's actually mine. It's a test of how well, or what is the change that they've seen, right? And, and I've invariably seen the people who we feel that would be the weaker of the lot come out as the best speaker on the last day. I don't know what the reason is, but for some reason, they just put in that extra effort. Imagine a lady coming on the last day, having tears in her eyes, and telling me, "I didn't know my husband can talk so much." Like,
Oh, wow.
I've never seen him talk so much, 3 minutes, 5 minutes at a stretch. Well, I then had to make the moment lighter, and I said, possibly at home you don't allow him to. Yeah, that's. But these are some of the real changes that you see, and especially when you look at people from day one to day 10. While my audience compares between the 10, amongst the 10 speakers, who's best and who's not, uh, what I like to watch is what happened to the person, what kind of a speaker or confidence did the person have on day one versus what is it that they're taking back on day 10. And I think that change is beautiful. Uh,
Yeah.
3 days back, I had a session where there's a girl who travels just for the session, travels 2 hours one way, young girl studying in college. And she stood, she froze, right? She forgot. And yet she stood there smiling, made a joke out of it, and walked away. And for me, it doesn't matter whether she spoke or not, whether her content was good or not. What mattered is that courage that she had to still keep keep smiling and moving ahead from there. And because that's what matters, right? Content, you even we sometimes forget. We have a bad day, and that's okay. But how do we deal with that? I think that is more important. And for me, that's the success story. It's not how well you present it. How you dealt with the situation is what matters. So amazing stories. And I think we all experience this as facilitators, right? When your participants 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, you cross path and they say, "Hey, you know what? You made a difference." And that's what it is.
That's what we do this for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. Um, wow, I'm going back to all the stories of when people have come and spoken to me and said that to me at this moment. Happened very recently.